Okay, we are live. We are live. Welcome
Hello,
everybody.
hello.
You are tuned in if you to Carolina Retirement Planners uh, weekly happy half hour. Second one here in the new year. With me is
Absolutely. I got lucky enough to join you.
he's holding down second chair today. Sam is off at a class learning to be even smarter than she is now. And so, and Kristen is one of probably rather see her than me actually. But as we did last week, uh, and also with us is our director of client fun, uh, Amy.
Hi, how are you guys today?
We are good.
Another
We are
wonderful day in the
good.
neighborhood.
It is a wonderful day in the neighborhood. It is.
And what is our, before we, just so we remind people, Kristen, what's our topic today?
Today, we're going over the Secure Act 2.0, like we talked about last week. We're very excited to get this going.
It's going to be fun. It's got some interesting stuff in there. There's some really interesting stuff in there, so it should be good. Should be good. But let's see. We before we plunge into the business, as much as I like to get down to it, we like to have some fun too. We always figure out what day it is. There's always something special about today. What is special about today, January
Ooh,
12th?
ooh, I know.
What? Okay.
Today is National Hot Tea Day. There's lots of days, but I picked that one for you, David. Do you know why? Mm,
Those of you who have visited us in the office know that
yeah.
we have a collection of teas. I get them from a great little tea shop in Manhattan, and we've got a whole variety of teas, and you make them in a fancy little teapot.
I love that thing.
You haven't
Yeah.
seen that, that's worth the sell. But did we poll people to see what their favorite tea is?
We did, and number one by far was chai. Chai, like the chai tea. Yeah, by far, like hands down.
I mean, I'm a part of that club, so
Yeah. And then number
can't hold that against them.
Me too. I love chai. I mean, I love all tea. My Matt, my guy always says I have way too much tea. I have a cabinet full of it. But so that was number one, and I love it. Number two was the oolong tea. And then number three was green tea. So, and then they kind of went down from there. So yeah, it was yeah.
It's funny because we don't have chai oolong. I
Oolong,
have
right.
a green tea mix. I may have
Yeah.
green tea back there too, but we don't have it on our menu.
I think we have to
Uh,
change some things. Yeah.
if you like oolong, we have white tea, which is the purest of teas. It's tea that what they basically did. Oh, let me bring my mic a little closer. What they basically did was they just dried the leaves, and it's very vanilla overtones, and it's one you can hardly get anywhere. We've stocked that, but I'll have to bring some chai in at least, and maybe a
Do
couple
you know
others.
there are super health benefits to, I'm going to say it wrong again. Oolong, there, it's a very, very beneficial tea. It actually has been proven to increase like brain functions and memory and all kinds of crazy things. So yeah, it's a very beneficial tea. So, but with that, I have a lot of work. I could see it. I could see it happening over here. So you guys talk about your tea. Oh, but before I do, but look at this fancy little thing I'm drinking.
Ooh, fancy drinks. Fancy
Yeah.
drinks
Now,
today.
then now for real, I'm gonna get back to work, but okay. Yeah, you
Okay.
guys talk, and then
See,
talk about your
actually,
favorite teas. But yeah.
for those of you who don't know, she takes the stuff off Facebook and puts it onto Zoom so we can actually see who's coming because we can't. We anyway. I also have been drinking a fair amount of Pooh Air, and if you talk about healthy teas, Pooh
That's
Air is
interesting.
where they take tea and they ferment it. They actually it's kind of like a little bit like sauerkraut. Different, some of these fermented foods have additional benefits from drinking, eating or drinking fermented things. And
Like a
pu'er
version
comes
of
in,
kombucha?
it comes in a cake, and you got to kind of break it up, it's kind of a pretty meaty. It's got a lot of flavor to it, but I just find when I'm not drinking Nilgiri in the morning, I'm drinking occasional Pu'er to kick my day off. So it's another really another good tea. I dare not serve it to folks because it's kind of health, but I could, but you come in, and if you're coming in and you want Pu'er, let me know. I'll bring some from home. We'll do that.
It's just saying it's just making me think of like Winnie the Pooh. I don't know why, but it just sounds like a fun thing to say.
We also have one very special tea. The one by
Talking about the Catherine Hepburn.
Probably.
Yeah. See, the tea shop in Manhattan, McNulty's, goes back to about 1880. It's now run by a Chinese family, probably not the original McNulty's, but it kind of makes sense for a Chinaman to run a tea shop, but they have a set of 3x5 cards, and there's one that says Hepburn, K, and she has a blend of 3 different teas. I think Golden Assam and a couple others. And we've actually got that blend here. So a lot of folks, when people come in, we have a little card with her picture and the whole thing, the little story. So a lot of people sample Catherine Hepburn's tea because we've got that too. It's kind of cute. And it goes back to like 1972, the date and all. They got a picture of the card. So I haven't been there in a while, but I love McNulty's. We call them up. I call them up. Hey, it's David from North Carolina, and I usually buy a pound or 2 at a time. So he knows who I am, as a credit card. It happens automatically. It's kind of, and they're really inexpensive compared to most tea shops, even the ones here. So for what it's worth, anybody want to know, Google McNulty's Tea Manhattan. Look at the little video of the store. It's really pretty good. But that might be, enough on tea. We do have to.
I feel like we could go all day on tea.
Yeah, I
We
go
have
on.
quite a few people here
we really
who are ready
could
to
go
learn
all
about
day on
this
tea.
Curex.
Let's just say hi to some folks before we do. You want to start us off, Kristen?
Yeah. Hello to we've got Miranda here wanting to check the new stuff out. We've got Beth, and Bruce says happy 2023. I think he got us last week, but you're here now. Very own Mary and Brenda. Mary also likes chai tea, so we'll have to watch that supply if we bring it into the office.
I see Skip has joined us, and Debbie is here, and Jean, Ellen, and Traeger.
It's like we got Jean and Wanda.
Yeah, and Wanda.
Hello, hello.
Ed, good to see you and Renee. Wayne, nice to hear from you and Joanne. And they like black tea, and I drink mostly black tea, I have to admit. So I'm kind of with you there. I got one that's a mixture of black and green. It's a McNulty Special Mix. It's another one I drink a lot. Paula, boy, got a good crowd today. We got Paula here, and Dick, and Diane, and who else?
Oh, Paula brought along some friends while they were in Aruba. Terry and Rick, and heck yeah.
I want to go to Aruba. That's on my bucket list. Faith is
I
joining
hear
us.
it's really pretty out there.
Me too.
You'll have to send some pictures, Paula.
Thomas and Jeannie, and Faith. So, but we better get down to work. Let's see if I can get this thing.
Yeah, these people came here for some good information.
See if I can get this thing to work. Okay, hopefully we are up and running. Okay, we are talking about the Secure Act 2.0, but there's a couple things we need to go to first. I want to talk about an auspicious day, and that auspicious day was the 23rd of December of 2022. Do anybody know what special thing happened on that day? And you probably don't, because I wouldn't know it if I hadn't read the right newsletters, but It is on that day, Congress passed and sent for signature the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023. And it was several hundred pages long. In fact, it was 4,000 pages long. That's where they kind of came up with the appropriations to keep the country going. You remember how it was the end of the year. And buried in the middle of that was the Secure Act. So that's where it comes from. And again, it occurred right here, the last minute they finally got it done. Now, I got a little trivia question. And does anybody know what secure stands for? I stumped you on this one, Kristen. I didn't prep you on this one.
Well, I don't
I actually did it
think
a
I
couple
studied
years
enough.
ago. I did. You don't have to look it up. I'll do it. I did it a couple of years ago. We did somewhere back in the happy half hours. I did one on the Secure 1.0 Act, and it actually stands for. And I filled some in so you don't have to submit yourself to my handwriting too much. Setting every community up for retirement enhancement. That is what secure actually stands for. So, I wonder who sat there in Congress or whatever dreaming up an acronym that had the right twist to it.
I can't say I
Or
would have
did they
guessed
pay
that.
somebody a bunch to come up with that? Because that's crazy.
It is a little crazy. As we'll see in a minute, to some extent, it's arguably designed to get more taxes out of us too, or get them sooner, or bigger. We'll look at that here and then. But that's the actual meaning of secure. So a little trivia there. Now, there are several changes, bunches of changes. We will not cover them all. We won't cover them in great detail because, boy, you'd all fall asleep. But what is a required minimum distribution? Kristen, what do you have to do with required minimum distributions?
Well, that's when you have to take a certain amount of money out of your qualified accounts after a certain age.
Yeah, the government says you can put money in your IRA, your 401k, and you can not pay tax on it and so let it sit there and grow without paying tax. But sooner or later, we kind of need the tax money to run the country. Boy, do we need it. And that is known as the RMD, required minimum distribution, and the age. And originally it was 59 and a half. And a couple of years ago with the first Secure Act, it was raised to 72. And we've got several people I've talked to this past year that hit 72 last year. It is now, the Secure Act has raised it to 73. So if you're turning 72 next year, you won't have to take your RMD out. You'll still have another year to wait. They've also raised it to 75, but they're not going to do that till the year 2033. So it's 10 years from now. So if you're sitting there now and you are, I guess, 63 years old, you have,
You have
you'd
an
be
extra 10
7.
years of growth.
Got 10 years.
Yeah,
to
that's
go
nice.
before you
Nice.
have to- Well, I guess if you were 65 now, no, it's gonna turn over at 75. So in 2033. So if you're 63, you got 10 more years to go before you have to get it. Do the math. But that's sort of, now the question is, this is one of my favorite quotes. And this is Learned Hand. He was an appeals court justice. He's probably the most famous justice that didn't make it to the Supreme Court. Had a lot of great sayings. I use this in my workshops, this slide. And in fact, we are teaching workshops. We'll have to mention that next week. We have our first set of tax classes at UNCW in a long time,
We do.
tax workshops, and he was the from 1924 to 1961, he was an appeals court judge. And one of my favorite things, there are two systems of taxation in our country, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. And there's a second part to this saying, and that is both are legal. And I know we don't like to find any legal thing we can do to reduce our taxes. I've known a number of people who'd be happy to do the illegal things if they thought they could get away with them. But, and this is a case where we have that. For instance, if you think about it, you know, when you pay taxes, most of us are in multiple tax brackets. Like, we'll have some money that we pay 10% tax on, and then this is your taxable income going up. Then there's some at 12%, and then there's some at 22%, and then it goes to 24%, and then it goes to 32%. And over here, you've got this pot of IRA 401k money, taxable money. And when you take that out, if for instance, you were sitting here and you were in the 22% bracket, if I added your Social Security and pension all together, and you were kind of here in the middle of the 22% bracket, if I take money out of the IRA, it gets piled on top and it's taxed at 22%. It's taxed at your highest, what they call marginal rate.
Ooh.
And you could see this person's probably always going to be in the 22% bracket. And he or she has some more room there. And boy, what would be really smart if you're not 73 years old is to start taking money out and kind of fill this area up and use this 22% bracket while you can, you know, because what happens if you don't do that and this gets bigger and bigger, and you get to 73 and have to take out about 4%, it's going to come in and it may actually drive you into the 24% bracket, and you'll actually pay in more tax on it. And by the way, the 12% bracket's going back to 15 in 2026. The 22 is going back to 25. This is going back to 28. As Ed Slott, Sam and I are part of his elite advisory group for taxes. He always says, pay taxes at the lowest rate. You want to pay taxes at the lowest rate. So there's two kinds of folks here when they see this rise in RMD age, that the informed are going to say, wow, this is great. I have more time to do Roth conversions now before RMDs come in. The uninformed will say, oh, I can delay paying taxes. And then when they do, they're likely to pay, very likely to pay more in tax, and rates will go up. They'll pay even more. And remember, you can't take your RMDs and convert them to a Roth. That's not allowed. So once those RMDs start, you don't have as much chance to get it into the tax-free world. So that's kind of the story there. Let's come on and do some of these other things on the catch-up, because
I like that Running Man. That's a good little.
Did you draw that yourself, David?
I like that you didn't draw that. I like that. Yeah, that's good.
If you're 50 or older and you have an IRA, you get an extra $5,000 worth of withdrawals. If you have a 401k and you're over 50, you can take an additional $7,500 out as a catch-up amount. And if you are, then get this is in the law. Oops. If you're 60, 61, 62, 63, or 64, and you have a 401k or 403b, you can actually have a catch-up of $10,000. Why it doesn't go for 65 and all, I don't know, but they get a little more. And starting in 2024, they're going to start indexing the the catch-up amount. They're going to start increasing it with inflation. So we have some options if you're over 50 to sock more away into your IRA. Now, we have Roth accounts. There's two things about Roths and 401ks that are interesting. One is that previous to this year, if you have a matching contribution, you have an IRA, a 401k and a Roth 401k, and they match, they have to put the matching part into the regular taxable 401k. Now we can put matching funds into a Roth.
Ooh, I like that.
Because they're essentially letting you, normally you put it in the regular one because the employer gets to deduct the entire amount. And then you got to pay the tax. Here, they're kind of, I think, letting the employer deduct it, but you get it tax free. So that's an interesting twist. The other thing is there's no more RMDs on 401ks. It used to be if you have a Roth account, a regular Roth, you would not have RMDs on it later in life. But if you had a 401k Roth, you still had to take your RMDs, even though it was a Roth. They eliminated that. So that was a nice little thing to come out of this Secure Act. 529 plans. What do they use 529 plans for?
They do some good things for children. I believe college saving plan is kind of another word for them that people use.
Yeah, they used to, a 529 plan is where you pay the tax, you put the money in the account, it grows, and as long as you use it for education, it's tax-free. There's a lot of sticky stuff that comes with it. If you go back to last year, Google 529, go to our website, go to our list of under events, go to Happy Half Hour, save 529. You'll see a really good presentation we did on that. A lot of people understand why. There I'm showing you how it's better to do a Roth for most people than to do a 529. If you've got a bunch of money in your IRA, you're better to do a Roth. But the trouble is people are stuck with 529 plans. The kid didn't go to school, or, like Bill Gates, they dropped out, or they got a big scholarship. What do you do with this money? Well, you can now take the 529 and you can put it in, that happened. You can put it into your Roth. So the rules are, you must have, you must have had the 529 for 15 years. So it can't be a new one. It had to be one you started long ago, or you waited long enough. The max you can convert is $35,000. And each year you can convert the equivalent amount you could put in your regular Roth IRA, which is $6,500 if you're under 50, and I think, or 50 or 55, $7,500 after that. Again, if you're going to do this, you got to look up the rules. The purpose of this is to get things triggered so that you can come and ask, hey, what was about that again? If I try to teach all the rules, man, and all the details, like I said, we'd all fall asleep. Qualified charitable distributions are places where you can take money from your IRA and give it directly to charity, and it doesn't show up on your tax return. So it doesn't cause your Social Security to be more taxable, or more fees on your Medicare Part B and things. There's a one-time only exception in this that says you can take $50,000, you can put it into a charitable gift annuity, you can put it into a charitable remainder uni trust, a charitable remainder annuity. These are things people don't use that often. Sometimes there are things that your charity may have available, but this is a way you can use it one time for $50,000. And after 2024, the 100,000 qualified charitable distribution will start to be indexed. So that'll go up with time too. So that's another change from this. If you take money out of your IRA early before you're 59 and a half, Kristen, what's the penalty?
Well, the penalty is 10% for early withdrawals.
10%. And there's some exceptions, an expanding group of exceptions to that. Now, they all have different amounts and different dates, and I didn't try to put it all here, but if you're terminally ill, you can get some out early. That's effective immediately. For natural disasters, you can take some out early, a certain amount. And it's retrospective to 1/26/2021. And we've been looking, trying to figure out why then. Googled it. The only thing we can find is there was a typhoon in the Indian Ocean on that date, but there must be something else. But anyway, domestic abuse starting in 2024 could get a deduction, could get a penalty, so much out without penalty. Financial emergencies qualify starting in 2024, and a little bit, and it wasn't very much for long-term care in 2025. So just some extra things that came with that system. And this is one that I found particularly interesting. Kristen, you got to take your RMD out when you hit some age, 73 this year. What happens if you forget? What happens if you don't do it?
Well, before this year, it was a 50% penalty. It was kind of hefty.
It used to be a 50% penalty on what you didn't take out. I think you started to pay tax now. It's now been reduced to 25%. So that was
I feel
kind
like
of
that's a little more doable.
Yeah.
So,
So,
and
okay.
a little less painful anyway. And boy, there was a bunch of others. This is some of the references from where all this information came from. They like us to be sure we cite where we got this information on this. And
A lot of reading.
And that is, boy, that's all we could fit in anyway. That's all the ones I've decided to collect. Again, a couple of things. If you're, if you'd like to talk to us, our clients know they can call us anytime. But if you're not a client, you have a question, you can call the 815-3100, set up a phone call or a visit. You can go to our website, carolinaretirementplanners.com, all kinds of great videos there. Go under events, happy half hour. You can see the 120, or how many of these have we done now, Brenda? Amy.
Well, I was like, well, wait. It's 125. This is number 125.
Ooh.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And if you go to carolina15.com, you can book a 15-minute call. We have a couple things too. I have back there. Before I bring this up, we have some tax workshops starting next week, right? UNCW.
We do. Yes.
What are the dates again?
Well, we have 2 dates that are coming up. We have a Tuesday that is actually on a wait list right now. That is at 1:00. They're at UNCW. So that one, if you would like to register for it, I put a link in the comments. You will be waitlisted. If somebody cancels, we'll let you know. But we also have another one on Thursday, the 19th at 6 p.m. And there are a few seats available for that one as well. Well, not as well, but there are a few seats available for that. So, yeah.
So, and we're going to have more, I think, next month in Brunswick County at Brunswick Community College. So it's great to be back. Right. We were kind of laid low with COVID for a long time. And I love doing workshops. And so I'm just excited about getting to help teach people. One last thing, and that is, if you would like a copy of Tax Strategies for Retirement, we have it talks about, it's a nice little booklet, talks about, different strategies for that. You can email us, call us, and say, hey, can you send me one of these? And we'll mail one that's actually printed on dead trees and delivered by a uniformed employee of the United States government right to it. So you don't have to try to read it on your cell phone.
No,
So-
it's going to be really hard. I don't even to read on your cell phone. So yeah, all they have to do is send Mary an email. And Mary is so great. She includes all kinds of fun little things when she sends those out. So yeah,
good.
Mary's wonderful.
Well, it's 5. I've run even a little longer than I thought. We have one more thing to do. What could it be?
What?
Hmm,
Only my
good
favorite
answer.
part.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have our wine drawing. For those of you who haven't joined us before, there are several ways to enter to win 2 bottles of wine from Fermental, the local beer and wine super fun place. And you can enter by answering the email, RSVPing on Facebook, you get an extra entry for bringing friends. And I think I'm missing one, Amy.
No, actually, yeah. So they can email us, they can send us a future topic, or yeah.
I think that's what I was missing.
Yes.
All right. And so this week we've got lots of entries here. I've got my nice little basket. It's
Those
not
are
as
my
pretty as
bundles.
Sam's. No, so gotta see who is the lucky winner this week. And we have Diane L.
Well, Diane L., congratulations.
Congratulations, Diane.
Congratulations.
Woo!
Yay.
And we,
Congratulations.
it has been great once again sharing this happy half hour with you. I got to think, we got to come up with, I haven't come up with next week yet. We got to,
We'll come up with something great. You always do.
yeah, we will.
It
There's
just means
lots
it'll
of
be a
good,
surprise.
No,
yeah.
I love
And
surprises.
with that, everybody, cheers. You have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday at 4:30.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Everyone have a great
Bye,
weekend.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.